All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to unpack a really powerful mental tool that can totally change how you see things, especially when you're in a tense situation. It's called triple position, and trust me, it's a simple but amazing way to get a brand new perspective on just about anything.
You know the feeling, right? We've all been there. You're in an argument and you feel like you're speaking a completely different language. Everything you're saying makes perfect sense to you, but the other person, they just seem like they're on another planet. It's so frustrating, and you just feel totally stuck.
Well, it turns out there's a framework that can help break that deadlock. It actually comes from a field called neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP for short. And NLP is basically the study of how our thoughts and our language shape our reality. It gives us this incredible lens to see why our communication breaks down, and more importantly, how we can start to fix it.
Okay, so at the very heart of all this is a core principle from NLP. The map is not the territory. I know, it sounds a little abstract, but it's a really deep insight into how we experience the world. Let's break down what that actually means.
So think of it this way. The territory is what's actually happening out there in the world, the objective reality, the raw facts of a situation. But here's the thing, none of us experience that directly. Instead, every single one of us creates a map inside our head. And that map is our personal interpretation, and it's colored by our beliefs, our feelings, our entire life experience.
And this, right here, is the key. When we get into a disagreement with someone, we're usually not even arguing about the territory, the actual facts. We're arguing because my map of what happened is clashing with your map. We're both sitting there defending our own little interpretation like it's the absolute truth.
So, how do we deal with these clashing maps? Well, that's exactly where the triple position technique comes in. It's a structured way to step outside of our own map for a minute and see the bigger picture. It's about looking at one situation from three totally unique viewpoints to get a much more holistic perspective.
And these three positions are so simple, it's brilliant. First, you've got your own perspective, the self. Second, you have the other person's perspective, the other. And third, and this one's crucial, you have the perspective of a neutral outsider, the observer.
Let's start with the first one, position one, the self. I mean, this is our home base, right? It's the perspective we live in every second of every day. It's our natural default setting. So when you're in this first position, you are 100% inside your own map. You're totally aware of what you're thinking, you're feeling your own emotions, and you're seeing everything through your own personal lens. This is where we all start. Now let's move on to position two, the other. And this is where things get really interesting. This is a conscious effort, an active empathy, really. You have to mentally step out of your own world and try to imagine what it's like to be in theirs. And listen, this is not about agreeing with them. It's just about understanding. You have to ask yourself, from their point of view, what might they be thinking? Based on their life and their beliefs, how might they be feeling right now? What could their interpretation of all this possibly be? And finally, we get to the third position, which is the most detached of all. Position three, the observer. This is like hitting the zoom out button on your brain to get a bird's eye view of the whole interaction. From the observer position, you're basically a fly on the wall. You're not you and you're not the other person. You're just a neutral party watching this interaction happen between two people. You have zero emotional investment. You're just objectively noticing the dynamic, the communication styles, the energy in the room. So, why do all this? Why go through these mental gymnastics? Well, the whole point is to weave these three different viewpoints together to create something much, much bigger, a truly holistic perspective. And here is the payoff. Look, if you only ever stay in your own position, your view is super limited. When you add in the other person's perspective, your understanding gets bigger. But when you add that neutral observer, that's when you finally get the whole picture. You're not just seeing the individual pieces anymore, you're seeing the entire system at play. And the power of having this holistic view is it's huge. It leads to incredible breakthroughs in resolving conflicts, it builds real empathy, and it lets you make decisions that are way clearer and less clouded by emotion. Really, it just helps you see the territory much more accurately because you've looked at all the different maps. So the takeaway is this. It's not about being right or wrong. It's about gathering more data. By using these three simple positions, you can build one much more complete picture of pretty much any situation you find yourself in. So I'll leave you with a question to think about. Try to recall a recent disagreement, Or maybe a tricky situation you're dealing with right now. What's one situation in your life that you think you could see completely differently if you consciously tried to move through these three positions?